Welcome back, my fellow tamers. This is your King Willex speaking, and I wanted to do something new today. As you can see, this area shows the piece of paper, this webcam showing me. Now, I wanted to get things off my chest. Well, I'm still here, but I can't find my pencil. Oh, it's in my tablet. Um, yeah. I wanted to get things off my chest while I'm still here, but all things considering, uh, I'm just gonna try this and see if I can actually get something, put out there on paper, mind you. So I'm right-handed, as you can tell here, hopefully, because there's like a lot of distance between the Twitch stream and then myself. So yeah, I've had to reinvert this camera here, probably seeing on the side here. I can just move it a little. I'm going to pull up some concept art and then try to draw some because I'm pretty bored and I didn't want to pull up the game again at risk of, you know, everything collapsing again. So I figured I'd do it this way. It's a lot cheaper on my CPU. Just thought of something. Why don't I just draw Naruto? Because I haven't drawn Naruto for a while. Yeah. So here's what I pretty much do. While I was in school, I did a drawing class, and within that drawing class, we had our interpretations on how to draw things. Well, in hindsight, we put images like this beside a piece of paper or anything we can actually get our hands on a piece of paper, and then like put a paper clip on those two images and then pinch it together and see how far we can actually do. Well, this is an interesting photo of Naruto. Let's see if I can actually draw it. Yeah, I'm very sketchy, so like I said, I am an anime freak. Or nerd, as most people would say. I have been for quite some time, though no one saw me in that light. In fact, the kids in my class were always wondering why I had some sort of special treatment other than the other kids in class. Well, it just so happens that not only were they able to catch up on my so-called disability, to think with others, I had to work on my own projects. And meanwhile, by doing so, um, I pretty much do all I can by myself and see how far things can progress without any aid or need of help. And as far as that goes, I've been told plenty of times that my artwork alone has been sufficient enough to pass my grades. So even if I were to fail a certain driver's ed class, because my driver's ed teacher caught me falling asleep at some point in time. And yes, there are driver's ed classes in school. There was one in the school I went to previous, 2 years previous to coming back to my hometown and then messing things up. In fact, most of the things that I've messed up pretty much wasn't my fault, and I say that out of honesty because whenever things tend to get in the way of studies, and no, I don't mean like distractions, just a lot of things. I hate this phone. There was like things that I had to do at home, and the things I had to do couldn't get done without permission, like having being excused from the dinner table. Uh, had to do like chores and such, and get that out of the way. But with my school, that was forgiven because my teachers would allow me the chance to um, redeem myself in a manner of speaking. And by redeeming myself, I enter a contest that's held on television for a certain network like Cartoon Network. In fact, I did so well by that same year I was chosen to be some great artist in my country, town, and state, which I'll leave out of detail because, once again, I'm not giving too much detail out due to the fact certain people like trolling, and I'm not one of those type of people who get trolled in my own home. And that detail stays with me always. So, yeah, alright. I'm putting a lot of effort into the head at the moment, or the slightest moment, because I feel like detail is most needed in most cases, and this is how I pretty much draw on a day-to-day basis. In fact, I take one thing for an image, and I don't try to mirror it, uh, but it does get annoying when something like this keeps turning off. So, alright, give me a minute. Hold on. I gotta change my settings here real quick. My settings here. There we go. Alright, so now I can go back to work with this. Um, but as I was saying, occasionally kids at my school would get jealous of how I work, and I work with everyone uh, on say the same items that they are: paper, mache, uh, plain paper, or even paint. The project always gets done, and somehow I always end up with like uh, an A in my class. Now, some people may disagree, because I know back in 7th grade I got yelled at about this. Whenever you're drawing people, you gotta make sure you don't put lines in there. I told my 7th grade artwork teacher that I'm not drawing real people in this physical world. I'm drawing characters for a certain cartoon or anime, anything I would want to put my attention to uh, in the current situation. And he asked me at that time that I was like really upset with him if I lost my, or if I had my sketchbook in my backpack. Of course, I didn't at the time because I keep forgetting to bring it to school with me because I had it laid out in the bedroom where I was working my projects in at the time, and I had it laying up on my desk, and he managed to think that I was being a smart aleck and thought I wasn't being completely honest with him and sent me to detention, which is kind of sad for him because he lost one of his best students in school who would have achieved something far greater than what he has in his time. And I say that out of honesty because things like this, people tend to get more creative than their previous teachers, which for mine was a complete total jerk and gave me an F because once again he thought I was being a wise aleck or something like that. See, is his pupils round? Yeah. I'll have these colored in, but right now I'm just gonna put shades in the or around the irises so they're not mistaken for anything else. Okay, there we go. We have a line here. We have a line here and here. And also I'm paying attention to the chat too. You get rid of this line because it's far away from the others. And I don't have it completely near each other in the right places, and this one isn't completely gone. This is the reason why I shade first before filling in the colors, because if I fill in the colors, the pencil markings get too deep and then screw up my rhythm, or in this case, my picture, before I color it in. So, fun fact, I was watching my brother Solix play Naruto Shippuden uh, Ninja Storm 4, and he was trying to fight one of the bad guys in the story, in this case, um, yeah, I asked him generally if he was able to put like PC versus PC, and he's like, what, for computer versus computer battle? And I said, yeah, and he's like, possibly, why? Because I was like, alright, because I want to try and see who would win between Naruto and Sasuke in every single match. He's like, yeah, we can do that. And as a joke, we put money on characters, imaginary money. And he lost every single bet except for one. And that was when Naruto became Hokage and had no sense of training whatsoever anymore because he was already as strong as he could be afterwards. And that being said, Naruto, being the knuckle-headed ninja that he is, um, fell behind on Sasuke now, which is kind of sad because him and Sasuke had this sort of rivalry thing going on since they were kids. And Sasuke, after being the adventure ninja for the new Hokage, gotten stronger than Naruto himself. I don't think I drew that eye right. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. I should have shaded it like I said before, but again, screw up my own plans. This works. Yeah, it works perfectly. Okay. I gotta get rid of this line somehow. And don't worry, this will be colored soon. I have a box of pastel oil coloring pencils here under my desk. Now, his smile is one thing that I don't think that I can get in right because his marks, as they show up on here, might mess me up. We'll see. Once again, I'm not completely new at this, and as I said in my DMO stream, I haven't had much practice for quite some time, but I am putting in my effort. That should, shed some light on the subject. But as I was saying about my brother's stream, so he did what I asked. He put Naruto versus Sasuke in each campaign, and he found it unbelievable that Sasuke would lose so many matches. I was like, dude, Naruto is the man. Or I would have said it in a better context, but once again, whenever I'm trying to put some concentration into something, I lose my train of thought. Um, I was telling him how much Naruto is the man, and his chin can be a little wider. Like right here. Get rid of this now. I need a better eraser or something. Shade in his shadow. About some time ago, can't remember when, I was teaching some of my fans how to draw back in 2007. They were asking me about how to use different shades of gray with one pencil. So I tend to do that a lot. I was like, if you roll your tip on top of that one object you want to shade, you can roll it several times before it gets darker and darker. And make sure you start with the lightest shade before continuing, and then work your way into the paper. And he gave it a shot. He did it 7 times, and at some point in time, he actually got it right. And I don't pay for these lessons. I don't. I swear. It's just the idea of people wanting to achieve their dream to be something more than just ordinary and more legendary. Something thankful for other people to help them achieve. And that's something that I wanted to see out of more people. And it's like, um, out of every, you know, fight you see out in the open, someone else is caring a lot about others more than most. Yeah, I got his hair and stuff down. Now I want to bring this down here. Shade this over here. Work it back down. And once we, uh, excuse me, worked in his shadings, he too was getting A pluses in his grade. He comes back the next day and he tells me thank you, because momentarily, whenever I was doing YouTube about my character in Code Lyoko, which everybody seemed to have liked so much that it stayed for 4 more generations, or 4 more seasons, not generations, 4 more seasons. Um, no, 3 more seasons. Sorry, because he was entered in season 2, and it was like season 4, I think it was. Season 3 was about getting me back. Season 4 was when we took Xana out, and season 5 was when they brought it to a live series. So people in America didn't actually get to see that. In fact, I think it was like uh, banned in certain countries. And people ask you a difference between video stripper. See any? I'm guessing that's a character of some kind. Okay, see something. Yeah, bring his shoulder up. Oh, Shakira. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I know. I haven't heard that name in such a long time. In fact, the last album I've heard of hers was probably back in 2004. Yeah, I haven't heard anything of Shakira since 2004, which is suddenly surprising because that means I haven't any radio station for quite some time. Um, Zootopia. It's cool. Sleep update. Here. So whatever, whatever. Oh, like I said, I don't pay attention to most of that stuff anymore. Uh, ever since graduation, I'm pretty much busy keeping to myself and stopped listening to music, stopped trying to mingle with people in town because everybody I went to school with got worse with their drama, so I decided to stop hanging out with most of the people I used to hang out with in school. And even now, today, they won't even consider talking to me, so I keep to myself. Um, yeah, yeah, I know. That became a thing in 2008, if I'm correct. Huh, not much into furries myself. I know a couple of people who are, but barely talk. Kind of sad for my situation. I hardly talk to anyone anymore. That's cool. Ripper, I don't know why you're coming to my door. I don't have anything for you. Okay, let me see what I got here. Bar up, then bring it to a knuckle. Over. Watch Spice and Wolf. Makes you burn. No, thank you. I had people trying to talk me into being a brony, and that didn't even work for them. There's two, maybe three things I hate in life, right? People trying to make me out to something I'm not, and trying to turn me into a pony or a furry. Now you see my frustration. I like it. And I'll bring this down. And I'll draw the sleeve in right here. Bring it down. Can I choose my own anime? I like that very much. All things considering, um, I have seen so many thus far, and I will say this: I don't know what brought the furries thing on, but if what you say is correct, and um, Spice and Wolf was that it or that one thing, don't want to watch it. But I do know what brought the uh, jabronis on. And it was the fact that, okay, back in the 1990s, the early 1990s, as far as I can remember, um, we had a show called The Care Bears. I'm pretty sure they're still running it, but as of right now, since 2005, seeing the uh, ponies claim some popularity is like sickening to me because I was once a fan of the Care Bears whenever I was like 7, 6, 7 years old. Uh, this is before my uncle Terry got me into Cartoon Network back then. This Cartoon Network has been out for quite a while, and my mom did not want us watching cartoons so much because it made us lazy. That wasn't it either. What made us what we were as kids was trying to reclaim our childhood that we weren't given permission to, apparently. So, what happened in that feature was the fact that we had to settle with uh, people on the news telling our parents watching certain TV shows turns us into bad kids and bad people growing up. It's like watching VR Troopers. Apparently, that turned us into some sort of assassin or something other. Watching Big Bad Beetleborgs made us insanely crazy for powers. And it's like, no, okay, grown-ups at that year, at that age, never understood what being a kid was all about. And that's one of the things that, ticked me off. Because in those ages, we started to feel like, I don't want to be racist, but we started feeling like the Jacksons. Um, I'm sure you've heard of this story. Michael Jackson was not permitted his own childhood. He wasn't given the right to live out his childhood as he was a child himself. Uh, him, his brothers, and his sisters were forced into music to create a business for the family. And so, by doing so, gave them the right to bring in the money for the household. All I need is Netflix and fursuit anime and fur. That's fine. I will leave you to your own devices, but for right now, I'm just doing something that entertains me at this time of day. Because currently, after what I just been through, I need something to relax with. And drawing, playing video games, either or helps me relax. Like even sitting here watching YouTube videos, watching Markiplier or Jacksepticeye or the Game Grumps goof off from time to time helps me relax. Um, but yeah, currently I had to move one part of my internet from one room to the next, and I ended up getting disconnected myself. So that was kind of disconcerting for me. Um, I think Jackson's now in the room. Jackson, are you here? I see you're online right now. I haven't heard anything about Bleach in quite some time. I wonder if they have a game registered in Steam's library. My friend gets paid $5,000 a week to roast McDonald's on Twitter. He works on the Twitter for A&W, Harvey's, and Burger King. Nice. And he's getting paid by these two companies. Interesting. I never doubted you for a second. That's why I asked you a question. It'd be nice to get a response every now and again. Yeah, but while he's doing that, there's one person bringing them back together, right? So your friend has some competition. I drew that way too far out. Not totally. 'Cause like I said, your friend may be getting paid to bring these two companies to rivalry, but there is one person I know of bringing them back together. And I find it pretty funny. This up here. Oops. Why that tended. Now, looks like a mess, so I'm going to fix it up a little bit. Bring that in, up, that down, erase this. Elbow's kind of iffy. Okay, the fact that I keep repeating myself just means that you're not paying attention to what I'm saying. I don't even know. Yeah, my mic is working. Now I feel completely ignored. I get it. Why do you keep telling me this? I said, while your friend is getting paid to do that, roasting these two companies, making them more rivals, you do realize there's one person out there putting them back together, right? It's quite funny if you think about it. Isn't right here? There we go. His name is Aaron Hansen, and he is, I would say, the head of Game Grumps because he's the one who incorporated all of his teammates together, and put his own company, as you would say, as a business frontier. And on his Twitter account, Ego Raptor, or at Ego Raptor, he's tweeting Wendy's, he's tweeting Burger King, he's tweeting every food company, asking them to go to prom with him. And the one response he got back from was Wendy's. So, dude, your buddy is outbid. Because once again, Ego Raptor, man. Aaron Hansen, the dude of all dudes. Nah, dude. Oh, man. Well, I guess Aaron Hansen got the best of them then because Aaron asked them to prom and he had like a I don't know if it was a handwritten letter or an email or something of the sort stating that uh they would go to prom with him, but for some reason he made some sort of sketch on his Ego Raptor YouTube channel that he was been denied. So he goes to Austin, Texas to visit Wendy's and meets the fans out there at, Austin. And made sure everybody was like fed or something. I'm not so sure how that went, but um, he went there to spread the Wendy's love, just to get Wendy's to pay attention and make them know that they made a mistake turning him down. I thought that was a funny sketch. Don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure Aaron can or will do better. Yeah, great. Dude, racism is kind of dead to me. I mean, I'm friends with anybody from any race. I'm very passive aggressive. Or should I say passive on aggressive? And this is the guy that works at Wendy's? Or the guy that works at KFC? Oh, you're talking about the Wendy's guy still. Um, hmm. I don't know why you would say that. I mean, you would think if someone behind the Twitter account was being racist, that one person behind the tweet would be fired by now. I mean, it's not just one person running the account, it's the company itself. If the manager or boss or whatever found it unsuitable for that one person to handle, well, then obviously he needs replaced. You know what we need? We need more people like Ninja Brian. That would be rad. If we had like 20,000 people like Ninja Brian on Twitter, I'm not so sure if you know who that is. Uh, he's he's one of the partners of Danny Abadan or Abadan, however you pronounce his last name. Sorry, Dan. Um, he helped Danny create uh, NSP on YouTube. Okay, well, great. So yeah, if we had like people like him running on every Twitter account, rather if it was for Wendy's, Burger King, or anything of that sort, I like to see each Brian have it out with each other because of their differences in companies. There should be a sketch about that. Dude, I freaking hate Keemstar. If there was that many Keemstars, I would have freaking jumped off a bridge by now. I chose Brian because Brian's the better person. And believe me, no one wants Keemstar in the White House either. Trust me, it's never going to work. That is a very, very terrible idea. I know you didn't throw that out there, but I'm just saying. Now you want to talk about a racist? Look at Keem. There's like possibly 15 to 30K videos of him making hate speeches in past videos that he's recorded, and neither one of them did I like. He himself is too aggressive. In fact, do you know how can't be as bad as Ruka? We try to run the budget. Well, I'm not so sure who or what that is, but anyway. Um, do you know how Keemstar came by Drama Alert? Well, for his first session, he says none of his ideas or any of his episodes on his YouTube account or his company's YouTube account or whoever made the account. Any of his episodes weren't staged. Yet it was brought to our attention that when it came down to doing this sketch with what was his name? Uh, Crap, now I can't remember that guy's name. Even his YouTube name. Um, oh crap, lost it. Oh, in that case, I don't want to talk about it. I don't like cults. I hate the idea of culture, or not culture. Uh, I hate the idea of cults altogether. Like, uh, any simple ones like racist cults or anything of that sort, I don't like it. Alls I got to say is I was born here, raised here, never leaving, no intentions of leaving. Though I do wish I was in Alaska. They pay you to live there. You have to be there for a whole entire year. Yeah, that'll do it. I mean, in the early 2000s, my brother, my youngest brother, was really into Kid Rock and Eminem, and look how he's turned out. Is this becoming any better than the picture itself? I can't tell. It's good. Erase this then. Well, they weren't too far away. I just found them. Aha! Da-da-da. I just gotta figure out the right color. What's always night? Two is playing Paladin. Try this real quick. Pull these out. Oh, now I have a backer slip. Okay, there we go. I need orange. Hopefully I'm not colorblind. It's the right orange. I gotta do some shading around his neck too. There's a few things in my artwork I can't get right. That is hands, um, backgrounds, and what else? uh, feet, maybe? Can't remember. Now, Penn and Teller in 1984 discovered that there was a new way to uh, draw something in a physical form. But by doing so, uh, schools all over the globe try to test this in like million different ways. One of them, or yeah, one of which was to try and use a projector. But they misconstrued the idea Penn and Taylor were trying to resolve in definition. There was a trick, excuse me, a magic trick into drawing something that is sort of vague in definition. What it lacked was the idea behind the art itself. Like if you were trying to draw the photo uh, sharpness of the person in front of you, like definition between color, lighting, and so on and so forth, the reflection itself is kind of hard to put on paper. But somebody, I think it was in Italy or something other, drew a fine definition of a water display of the ocean, like waves, how the light hits the water, so on and so forth. But the idea behind Penn and Teller's trick was the fact that if you took a mirror and had an image of a picture or something other that is sharply taken by a photograph or something other than just painting over it. If it's sharp, it's like a photo, and it would sit straight up, upside down, and then use a mirror to uh, angle that said photo to the drawing, which would give the paint, yeah, the painting itself that figure and the correct framing. So if you're like looking at the eyes and looking at the mirror as you're moving your head around or moving the mirror around, the eyes would match the eyes on the photo, and frame by frame, by the way, um, the eyes would match the photo from frame to frame, and you won't see a lick of difference except for how the painting would be defined as a painting, or how unique it was in texture, and how clear the photo itself was to the picture of that said person. And it's kind of like looking through a portal while looking at the image itself, because you're looking at the image and you're looking at the photo that is represented upside down. I'm not so sure if I'm explaining that correctly, but I'm explaining it the best way I can. Um, so that was Penn and Taylor's objective to the said art trick, is to interpret something that is right in front of you while trying to draw it out on paper or paint it on paper without any lines whatsoever. And they called it the Tim's Painted Mirror or something like that. I forget what it was called. I just watched it recently, like last night recently, and it caught my attention. In fact, it piqued my interest a tad bit. I was quite liking the idea. A number of times. This is where it's going to get difficult because the paper keeps running right off the stack. Then the edge gets more difficult. Now, I gotta bridge this up and then that. No, give me the full picture. That. The outlines are a lot difficult because it's putting a lot of tension to my elbow. I gotta fill in the definition. There's no gaps. I've been trying to work my way around that too, trying to figure out how to fill in gaps without having to leave even more gaps. Because as a kid, drawing with crayons created some gaps, even by a touch of a different color, like smears that said color in a variety of ways and directions. And having to try to fade those out was kind of difficult. But working with water pastels, a touch of water, and then spread it around, trying to smear that one color over a certain object, making the paper wet, though, uh, completes a filler that I did not know about, which is something I learned about these pencils. And reason why people use like those black and silver clips to put on top of cardboard and the paper itself, just to keep them in one place, kind of a stretch, if it were. Leaving said lineless and boundaries. That way you won't have to worry about seams or any of this sort happening. It takes a lot of practice. And then one of my art teachers told me that there is a way to waterproof a paper project like this from ever getting warped or torn uh, using something of a material like, I don't know if it was like hairspray or something other of a product, but I think it was like a wood finisher, to be honest with you, because it was something of those lines that needed protecting, like waterproofing. I think it has something to do with wood, and I just can't remember it right now. I gotta go back over in these lines, trying to stay out of the shadows so that I can fill them in. Now I'm leaving bumps and gaps. I don't know what to use for that. But at least it's the original artwork that I did mimic this one. Okay. Now I need to darken this side up. This side needs it just as well. Okay. Even the wrong touch up of a certain area ruins the definition of the picture. I'll leave it as is. Now, I need to do up some skins. But before I do, I want to erase some lines and put in some hard definition to those uh, digits. Yeah. Um. hmm. This is his jacket back here, I believe. Yeah, that's his jacket, so I'll just color that in black. This be the zipper of his jacket, so that's gonna leave as white with a padded design. Yep. And I darken these in. I'm gonna start shading them lighter gray. Worry about later. Okay. And as for his jacket, there's a dark shadow right here. Like this. That in. What was that? No idea. Okay. B here. That real quick. Color in. Go. Giving this part of his jacket. This. Oh, maybe here. Erase that. There we go. Well, since I cleaned my eraser, it'll work a lot better. Erase some lines here. Putting in that high definition. Okay. Just darken this out. Okay. Oh, here we are. Smudges. Well, these are going to get darkened in anyway, so yeah. Touch that with this. Darken it in. I have to say, there must have been a method for everything I did. Because as a kid, I made a mess of everything. Growing up, you learn how to fix those messes, as I'm currently doing right now. Kind of like using the pencil as a paintbrush, just to draw in the shades. Was it a primer finish that I was thinking about earlier? I think so. Use something like that on paper. The picture itself would be savored, dust free. No messes. Of course, hold on. See if I can move it into the picture. Do this quite a lot. It starts to take away the mistakes of shading, which is the darkening bits of the dots. And I was told you can even use your finger or fingers as some sort of eraser. And a dampening cloth would have the same effect, like a wet paper towel of some sort. But careful with the paper, because if you touch the wrong thing, the whole entire picture gets messed up. And I try not to do that so often. So I'm limiting myself with lesser tools, giving myself the time to get something done first time around. As you can see, probably is a terrible job than considered. And as you can tell, I did this freehand. I did no special method of drawing, other people's methods. I took it to eye and I put it to paper. Uh, as you can tell, my method sucks because, once again, lacks definition. And this proves how bad my memory skills are, because what I see on paper does not translate to mind. It's most likely whatever is on paper uh, or on photo to paper, two different things with different lines and proving other things is something I tend not to do at points in time. This being one of them. Sucks. I just wish I could take the time to improve my skills every so often. But that won't be this lifetime. Might be the next. Try that. Alright. Did this. Shade this into a rounded bubble. Reach the bottom of that. Darken it in with the rest. Shade a darker gray. To black. Because here in this image, you'll see there are like, I don't know if you can see it. Try to, there we go. You have different shades of gray. Most likely, some of them are black, and that's something that I'm going off of. And as I'm looking at this, I'm putting it over here, which is again let your eyes tell the truth. Really stink at this. I probably failed Naruto. I'm sorry, Naruto. I failed. I failed. I've seen the full story of Baruto's side of Shippuden, and I'm not going to leave any spoilers, but I do want to beg the question, why hasn't he received the Nine-Tailed Fox? Because if you look at the generations, uh, Naruto's father was supposed to have had the darker side of the fox in him, while he caged the better side of the fox in Naruto as a child. But all things considered, when they reanimated the Hokages, um, there was always this one thing that stood out. Naruto's father lost his nine-tailed beast, sacrificed himself to save his son, and given that little factor, I'm not giving into too many details, but given that factor, shouldn't Naruto do the same to or for Boruto? And I know Boruto does not want to become Hokage because it's happening to what I would assume two generations of um crap, what was Naruto's last name again? Uzumaki, right? So you would think after three generations, Boruto would have a beast inside him as well. In fact, I thought for sure that he would inherit his grandfather's beast, letting it skip a generation. But I can see that they took a different turn with the series of anime. Which isn't too bad, because whenever it comes to animating a storyline from a storyboard, you don't want to get too, uh, I don't want to say familiar, but too obvious for the story. So once you get too obvious, somebody's going to know the ending. And if somebody knows the ending, that story's pretty much ruined there. But yeah, to my knowledge, the best storyboard ever told was the one that mixed things up, keeping future events a secret and not giving anything away. And I feel that it has been the some mistakes for some animators. Open up, would you? No. Thank you. Because let's be honest, when you tell a story, you don't want to start out with who's doing what, when, and where, because that's like a Doctor Who thing. Um, Even if you try to add a few twists and turns, or plot twists, or whatever you want to call those, you always want to keep it a secret. You want to keep the suspense high so that the hype would be real, you know? And that's the one thing about trailers that gets people excited is the fact that the story is left a secret and you don't want to tell too much of it because the story is getting to a bigger plot twist that you wanted to lead them to, and then you want to send them to a different plot twist that moves the story along to something else. And it can't be the same type of thing that you've already done. You have to make it different each time. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, people are starting to get bored of the series, bored of the saga, and bored of the season. So it's best to keep ideas fresh. Write down like 20 storyboards, number them, and be like, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. For this season, we're gonna do this, and then for this season, we're gonna do this, so on and so forth. So keep it fresh. Uh, I feel that Rave Master failed because they didn't do that and made other fans other than myself. So I was a big fan of the Rave Master, don't get me wrong. Leaving other fans into the know of what was going on in the series and then letting the series down by giving out too much or way too many hints all at once. This should line a bit. There we go. Shade in his shoulder. So jacket is nice. It's given a lot of detail, and it kind of resembles a shoulder blade, or not a shoulder blade, shoulder pad on his side there. Brown, black, red. No, it's like brown. Do I not have a straight brown? Terracotta. Never heard of that. This is brown. Doesn't even look brown. That is indeed brown. But if we lighten that up a bit, we can use it to put on this. That's what's on his shoulder at the moment. Okay. Now we need, oops. Now we need a sort of blue. Oh, broke the tip. Perfect. There we go. It is now. There we go. Blue. For the eyes at least. Excuse me. Remember those little white dots we left on the side of his eyes? We're going to leave them there. In fact, we're going to color in around them. So like I said, if any of my pencils touch any other color, we're going to leave a darker smear of its own shade with the other color's shade. Something I do not want right now. And being as it may, these aren't the type of pencils that you can easily erase, being pastel and everything. So I was thinking, when I did something like this would be one way to create my shirt design. if I did up my own characters of these said series, like for instance Naruto, Digimon, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, so on and so forth, and if I kept up a good long stream of things, everything would be running perfectly. Everybody would show some interest as to what it's going to do with it. Now, I'm not one to push ideas ahead, but I am one to uh, punch through like various uh, areas of attention. Say, uh, someone tried to doubt me for some reason, say that I couldn't do or do certain things or whatever. Um, I go back and try to prove them wrong by doing that objective thing. I don't know if this was actually touching the lip or why I didn't even make it so in the first place. Yeah, it was right here. And gotcha. Alright. I need to do the same for the other side because this one has like a darker arrow coming down. Now, I need pink and see if this will clear some things up. No, look like it. Starting to see some unneeded lines here. I'm trying to create a balance of color in the color I don't have, which is exactly why I said this may be better if I had or was given the correct tools. Because I've been trying to put things towards tech that I may need later. For instance, what sort of tech, uh, price it would cost, and location of purchase. And I'd go looking for it. But as of today, it appears that I don't have that type of help moment, or at this moment, because the help that I need pretty much not in reach. In fact, people I need to get a hold of, such as uh, Ross O'Donovan, because he was using the art pad that I had put in description before. It's currently busy with other things, and I don't want to bother him as much as I would bother Solix. Same thing. I'll say it again. I'm not one for dragging people away from their attentions. Solix right now is grieving, and I want to leave him be until he's ready to talk. And I'm fine with that. I mean, he's got personal things going on in his life right now, so I'll let it go. Was it when I was using? No, this is coat. Trying to mix these two colors up so it would match the picture. I'm not so sure if I'm even doing it correctly. I'm gonna put that on the other side. Otherwise, put it back in here. Use it. It's necessary again. Okay. Areas need to be darkened in, such as this. There you go. A backwards 5, if I may say so. Or whoops. And I'll work with blonde a little later. There have been times I've been needing some tech advice since 2007. But I feel like any advice I needed back then won't be so needed in the future, such as 2017. Because things tend to evolve and things tend to change. Quite so that it becomes unnecessary to need them later on in life. Like, for instance, you want a drawing tablet but don't have the necessary equipment. Well, I wouldn't say you've missed your chance, you just need an upgrade. Kind of like now. If I had my GameCube or Nintendo Wii still activated, mind you, I would need a Dazzle video displayer to uh, put out things in full gravity for some projects. Don't even know why I put that in order. They're in that order, which this be over here. It goes right. This okay. Um. Okay. Well, I should have worked on the chest too a little bit more. Think about it. Yeah. Although it's kind of shaded in the picture here. But we'll work with what we got in lighting. Because I don't want to mess about too much and mess something up. Process. because I don't want to draw out the wrong intentions to this picture. Which is bad coloring. Like I said, oil pastels don't really work so well in blending. You'll have to get it to work in your own advances, which is why some people in the greatest history of all time created their own tools, judgments, and succeeded in life. But for me, it's not the case. For me, it's kind of a sad story, which I don't bother tell. If I end up doing something stupid, I might blame something for different reasons or the wrong purposes altogether. Yeah, this is supposed to be a zip line in there somewhere in the middle, but I never frickin' drew it. So terrible. Alright, but anyway, so after getting the chest in there, I believe there was supposed to be a shirt in there somewhere, but anyway, I did that. Light that up, light that up, this around. Yeah, put this in here, this here. Like I said, hands, feet, possibly hair. I'm not too sure. I can't remember. There was something about my artwork that never popped, and I could never understand how to get around to drawing it. But it did get into styling and weapons and all that stuff, just to give them more detail. Hands, feet, more or less definition. Could never do it. Just couldn't bring myself to figure it out how. Never occurred to me. Such frustration could add to color when it comes to products like these. It's hard to handle at first, and it's never easy to merge two or so together. That's why I try to work it out. But, like I said before, I sometimes figure out ways to work around them and try to solve a bigger puzzle than myself. Sometimes it doesn't even work. But, never give up, so I can't complain. Well, hold on. Do some more shading over here. And go take a short break and then do the right shoulder as soon as I come back. So, be right back. Alright, let's try this. Okay. Now, I know some people are wondering why I decided to do this other than continue with DMO. After this, I will continue DMO. But I wanted to get this out of the way first. Um, so we're gonna do or redo his shoulder, and then I'm gonna fix his hair where it's more seeable. Darken this in first. I've realized if I actually try to mix in the color, it's going to blend in with the background, and I want it to blend in with the background. I've, grew up learning that there are several different kinds of art styles, one of which is painting. Second is drawing and filling in color, which created anime through cartoons as they eventually got better. Now, third is covers, which means you'd have to have a skilled artist either on paint or on computer fix something that would be used as like an album cover or something along those lines. And the fourth, which connects to the third, is the artist that writes music and sings for a living, which is something of a sort of favorite of mine. I don't speak about music so much because I'm hearing a lot of people hating on my favorite band, and I'm not one to put down my favorite band. And if you were to ask me who that would be, I'm going to have to say Nickelback all the way. Yes, I'm a Canadian person. Goes without saying, I'm much more passive aggressive than people are led to believe because Nickelback is one of my go-to people to listen to music, and if I had to, which I will at some point in my lifetime, you know, buy all of their albums and get like all of their songs memorized. So far, I have Hero and How You Remind Me, and I Want to Be a Rock Star memorized. It's not everything. And I believe whenever I was signed up for their website, we had a profile, almost like MySpace, but very different. See, Nickelback had this website where you could actually have like an account to connect with other people who liked the same band as much as I did and talked about how you first connected with that band. And for me, as a positive note, um, I was in this one town. I was getting ready for school one morning, and I popped the TV on, turned it to channel 36, and I think that was like VH1 or MTV. I can't remember. This Is How You Remind Me from Nickelback aired, and it was the first time I've ever heard them. In fact, uh, drew me in because they had this chick who somewhat was a ghost. So sure how that worked in yet. In fact, I've never put much thought to it exactly. In fact, never given it much thought at all. My thinking process was broken back then as it is now. Um, Never gave it much thought, but she reminded me of someone who I used to know back in my middle school days. Of course, the time I'm talking about currently was 3 or 4 years after that. And person who I had in mind when that song came on, uh, could never forget her. She had a big impact on me. She made me feel positive about myself, and yeah, she gave me a lot of hope for my future. She pointed me away from everything negative in my life and had me always look up. Uh, uh, I believe I gave a hint. Whoops, I hit the space bar there. My bad. I gave her a hint of my said abilities because everybody knew me as a sort of psychic. Because I was always able to read others' minds, and I never knew what a psychic was at that time, but as psychics are being explained today, it's like impossible to be a psychic because in their definition of psychics no or never existed. Um, so it was very hard for me to express myself without hearing everyone else's thoughts, but their opinions were different. And that's something that happens quite frequently. And based on the subject at hand, um, people's thoughts and opinions are two different things. If they don't base their opinions on their thoughts, they would become truth sayers, but they don't. They follow up on what the media tells them. But what they don't know is that the media is more disconceiving than ever before because they know that they are running out of business for a TV program because there has been a lot of misconception. I mean a lot. There has been a lot of misconception from Fox more than anything else. Because if Fox tells you one thing and then uh, it turns out not to be so true, then they're not worth listening to. And I can tell you that from experience because a lot of people started hating on Fox News for a bunch of reasons that I myself will not get into. And by saying this, they're the most dishonest company that I can say that ever told the truth. Um, let's put uh, Fluffy as an example. Fluffy took a tour in Afghanistan, I think. Was it Afghanistan? Somewhere around that area of the world where everybody believes in America are terrorists. They're not all terrorists. They're people like you and me trying to make an honest living. And not everyone is holding a gun. Not everyone has a bomb. And Fluffy made it clear that hate crimes should be punished uh, in ways that need to be settled in more ways than one. Like, if you were hating on something, uh, or someone, or a certain race, you should, by definition, not be considered as the race you are. In fact, you should be considered as the race you're dissing because you'd be putting yourself in their shoes to understand them a lot better. Um, you can consider that as a curse, or you could consider it as a blessing. For me, it would be a blessing in disguise because you would understand where people are coming from and difference of opinion. And you would understand where sometimes you're not always right when you think you are. And the fact that somebody else had to point that out to you, no matter how many times you fought it off, it's always going to be that same different opinion. Now, I've always been the one to put myself in other people's shoes, and I understood where other people came from in their aspect of controversy, or aspect of conversation, or aspect of different type of religions or politics or any of that sort. And there's a reason why I don't talk about religion or politics is because it causes too many controversies. One of them, which is like a bad topic at hand, a argument, and I don't like arguing because once again causes way too much drama, and I'm not one for drama. In fact, I don't know how many times I have told Keemstar to keep himself in retirement, but I say it kindly because Drama Alert needs to be out of business, like fast. If anybody wants to see anything of a drama series, turn on your TV, switch on to either uh, Supernatural or Charmed, or even better yet, uh, the originals or the Vampire Diaries. Either or would work because not only do they differ in a difference in opinion, but also in ideas of drama. Like, uh, say if you had a brother and he was hitting on your girl, that sort of thing. And it's one of those series that I was talking about earlier. They wanted to keep a series going, keep the rest of the story a secret, otherwise it's going to ruin the whole thing. And I learned that lesson from that same girl that I was talking about earlier. I was in discussion about Nickelback. In fact, everything I talk about hints at the same sort of conversation, previous or not, on the same lines that I'm talking about, uh, previous or non-previous. Something worth talking about. And if it gets deeper into thought, you will understand sooner or later if your mind can grasp broken English or somewhat of a broken conversation. Because I'm one of those people who have a simple mind at things. I can't grasp things as easily as everyone else. So I try to get the help to understand what it is that they're trying to say before I can uh, converge into their topic of conversation. Now, there has been a lot of things going on in this world. Most of it, people classify as a mystery rather than uh, discovery. Because one of the things explorers do is try to unravel mysteries. And they get a hit on a TV show starring their own series trying to discover those mysteries and trying to unlock the few secrets of the world. And for me, that's going to be the impossible thing to do because not everything can be discovered. I mean, you can unlock as many tombs as you like. There's going to be thousands of more tombs to unlock in the world after 6,000 years. Um, Back in ancient Rome, there has been so many tombs created to prevent entry or to prevent um, diseases from spilling out or diseases from entering in. But either way, it's one of those tombs that were kept secret. And back in the Dark Ages, where the knights were, fighting on a battlefield and so on and so forth, imagine where those bodies are today. They're probably laying in the ground, rotted, with no air to breathe, because over time, Earth itself kind of overlaps and um, recreates itself. That's how mountains form, that's how rocks form. Pretty much anything from history has been recreated or built over in these times of decades, because anything from history you'd have to dig up and try to reestablish the story of our history, how we were made, how we were built, why we were built. In fact, if you look around lately, everything in nature was built with a purpose. Um, you'd see porcupines and hedgehogs have spikes on their backs. In fact, porcupines, uh, unlike hedgehogs, well, I guess it would be hedgehogs before porcupines. Hedgehogs have this ability to roll themselves up into a ball and disguise themselves under their coat of needles, which is a good mechanic because there are many prowlers that hunt for meat. And that being said, they hide themselves in their own needles so that they don't have an attempt to get bitten, no matter how many times a wolf or that said animal tries to gnaw or claw at it. Eventually, they'll get stung. Same with armadillos. Armadillos have a thick, hard shell built into their skin, and they themselves can roll into a ball. And I can imagine some people actually using them for soccer and such, which is a bad idea, by the way. Don't do that, because that is animal abuse to the max, and I hate animals. But they have animals have this sort of um, thing going with their lives. Bees create honey. Spiders eat smaller insects. Rather, if it was like flies, ants, or anything that goes into their web, they can feast on as long as they wrapped it up in some sort of silk. Um, but bees are more in tune with their surroundings. If anything touches their nest, they are sure to swarm head first before planting their livelihood needle into your arm. Because the reason why I said livelihood is because once they sting you, they're dead for sure. They lose that needle. The needle's like a backwards pronged stinger, which is if it penetrates your skin, it would be really difficult to move or pull out. So once they jag that into you or into your skin, it's stuck there for sure unless you know a method of getting it out. And there's a smooth method, by the way. I think it has something to do with the liquid. I don't know, it's been a while since I got stung. It was like peroxide or something, I don't know. Uh, but to make sure that nature takes its course, nature itself needs time to evolve. And everything ties in together, such as ourselves as humans, treat each other brothers and sisters. If we can't get along, humanity's probably going to be lost for good. In fact, that's one of the things that I try my best to prevent. I'm kind of lost myself. There is a time in life, which, by the way, you might misunderstand this, but there is a time in life you need to understand that if things don't always go your way, there's probably a good reason for it. And you can't always say that you're right unless your name is, for instance, Chuck Norris or Google. And the reason why I say Chuck Norris is because I don't want to argue anything about semantics with Chuck Norris. If you argue with Chuck Norris, you're going to get a swift kick in the head, and that's something I do not want right now. My head hurts already. Um, so yeah, I'm having one of those days. Uh, so while the world is in balance, humans, as of today, are trying so hard to learn a lot about Earth. I mean, as if it wasn't enough that we live here, we can't exactly call it home. We don't know exactly what happened to the precursors. There's a lot of story and a lot of misconception. And to that belief, um, I can pretty much say that the Earth is round for a reason, and the planets are in place for a reason. And anything I do or say to that fact won't change anything. So I keep it the way it is. Nothing I would change or say would change anything. I'm just a bleep on the planet. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's nothing wrong with any of us for that matter, except for the craziness that goes on out here. It's not like I'm gonna take the time out of my life and just rage about how people uh, bought on games, and I'm not gonna go out of my way and call them Hanzo mains. I don't play Blizzard's games. I haven't been for quite some time, to be honest. In fact, I looked back on my video feeds, not for my recent accounts, which is King Willex, no. This channel, I named differently, which is like uh, Elder Druid or something like that of the sort, because I used to be a World of Warcraft fan, a big open world, and the idea of exploring it so badly. I wanted to scratch that itch, was all. And the way Blizzard treats their fans is unappreciated for a reason. And I hate to say this, but Blizzard could do what everybody else is doing in or in the name of MMOs. Seriously. DMO, Rift, uh, Defiance. I'm not sure about Nine Dragons. I haven't played that in a long time. Uh, these are some of the titles that I have played recently, as far as MMOs go. Blizzard could have like this online shop for their policy stores, other than just the marketplace or auction house, whatever they want to call it, to make money and make the game free to play rather than paying for their subscripted uh, membership. Because you're already a member once you signed up. I don't see the problem with having it free to play. Now, if people were this hooked on the game, since Warcraft, I don't see what the problem is by making it free to play. I mean, they had like a ton of fans since the 1990s. I mean, I could go about this all day, but the point of the story is, if I were to go back to those days and really try to reinvent the Elder Druid, there's a reason why I called him the Elder. It's because back then I was more or less uh, a teacher of games and making sure everybody got the point across. Games were made to be enjoyed, games were made to be fun, and not so much as to uh, you know, shake their hands of drama with. It's like if someone were to walk up to you, just take you out at a clean shot without any warning, uh, PvP or otherwise, you would be really extremely mad at them. Somebody hacks your account, takes all of your items, you'd be extremely mad at them. Uh, but either way it goes, it's like, oops, did I hit something I wasn't supposed to? But it's like, um, someday for sure, Blizzard's going to find out that the fans that used to play on their servers won't play there anymore because they're showing their greed. $30 for 30 days is a lot to ask for if they're not asking for more. I mean, I haven't uh, paid much attention, but I knew that they're pricey as heck. And I wasn't are going to be able to pay that a month. A rich person would have to be able to pay to play that game. Uh, but as far as Blizzard goes, some people ask me if this or the games that I play were more likely pay to play or play pay to win. I keep saying no because there was more uh, ideas behind games that people led on to believe because um, you would have to have put DMO and topic of good news to pay to win. You'd have to buy all the necessary items to be 100% successful, which isn't that bad because you'd be paying like $5 to $10. Why not? Depending on how much you can afford. Blizzard, on the other hand, for a single membership, you would have to pay like, I don't know, probably like $5 or $15 a week, $30 a month, that sort of ordeal. And I hated it. The only thing I could do thus far was create emails atop of emails for trials. And for each email that ran through that trial, cannot enter again. So I have to keep redeleting my avatar and then recreating it through that last email just to keep playing. And I knew for a fact I wasn't going to do that for the rest of my life, so I ended up doing something stupid. I met a girl. It's not what you think. This girl was something of drama queen. She was going through the ropes with me, and she was taking me places that she could afford. Apparently, she was sharing an account with her mother. Mind you, she was a mother of herself at the time. Well, a mother of one herself, I should say. Better context. She had a son. Uh, all three of them were living under one roof. And her mother was one of the naggiest people I have ever heard. She's not too old, but she's old enough to know better. And I feel like this world could use a lot of positivity at this point. Her mom was all over negativity. And uh, so after meeting her, the girl I was dating, that um, on World of Warcraft, she took me to this other platform, which started to come up like a schooling program for technical support and whatnot. And I started to learn by them, and they were teaching me a lot of stuff, like how to put up a store in game. By the way, this game is called Second Life. Maybe you've heard of it through a TV series Tobuscus ended up on, because it's one of those games that, the um, news people wanted to shame and failed at, because for one, not everything's all about one topic of life. It's all over the place. In fact, this had schools, hubs. By hubs, I mean places to hang out at. Um, real people to talk to, real people to train for online jobs and such. And, you know, there's like almost everything in this game. You can learn how to script, you can learn how to build programs, games. Heck, You even have an art show like this hanging up on your wall. If you ever owned a place in the game itself, which wouldn't be such a bad idea if it wasn't such a bad idea, because a single area that you would own in a game would be classified as a sim, and to buy property, you would have to go through proper channels to have your own server and such. And I didn't have any proper channels. I didn't have my own server. In fact, that would have been obvious by now. No. I did something better. I've waited till 2013 to actually do something. They created something called a magic box. And what it does is take items that you've made or created from your inventory, stick it in that box, put that box into your inventory, right click, and then put it up in a store or something. Something of the sort. And then let other people buy it off of you. And their currency is Linden. And the people who run the shops and sort out the currencies called Linden Labs. And they do this for a living, so they get paid to do it. Um, so once again, this game would be called Second Life because it would be your second life. And I'm not trying to promote anything, I'm just stating the facts and the obvious that I moved from one game to another, and boy was it ever crazy. I mean, dealing with my ex's mother on a lot of things, such as Sims, uh, and her idea of role playing, because she had owned a sim for battling, Second Life, battling, guns, knives, swords, that type of stuff. Oops. Now I see what that noise is for. I was hitting the number button. Um, so that kind of stuff would be classified as a battlefield. And to play on this battlefield, you have to follow by certain rules. And those certain rules I never applied to because it never applied to me. Now, I can give off a bunch of reasons why, and you're going to think I'm being conceited or something. But I'm not, and I could tell you for sure that it's not one of those things that you would want to involve yourself into, because I was out of practice, and whenever I was in practice, I saw some unfair gameplay, and once reported, they used the excuse that they own the sim so they can do whatever they want. I disagreed. I got banned. And so I moved on to other projects. I wanted to learn how to put up a shop. I wanted to learn how to sell things. And momentarily in life, no one bought these said sold items. It was uh, terrible how things were ran momentarily, and I forgot this is supposed to be a shadow of the hair sticking out here. It's my bad. Um, how things were ran in most games, because people can be cruel and so unfair, but other people can be more considerable to put you first in fair game, because in order, other ways to earn money is to go fishing or go prop hunting, something of the sort. And then that said prop would give you lindens. Mind you, these lindens, if you have enough, could turn into real money that you could probably benefit into your PayPal. Um, I never got enough. In fact, I have to spare every month just to pay rent, my bills, and so on and so forth. In fact, like I said before, in games, people ask me if it was pay to play or pay to win. The difference is that's a tricky question. For most games, there's a difference in opinion because people run their games differently. I can't say for sure whether or not if I got the right answer for them because every answer is different for other games. But I can only speak for one game. Draw. I want yellow. But yeah, I can only speak for one game. And that said game, like DMO, you would have to farm, which farming ain't bad if you know what you're looking for. Let me touch that up a little. I have to straighten out his hair anyway. I'm glad I shaded this in rather than darkening it, because having made some mistakes, I can fix them right now. Right? Like that. And there we go. The hair right there. And this. Same over here. And yeah, I've been through a lot in gaming. In fact, some people may be considered my friends if they would actually have been through the same thing with me, experiencing the same kind of craziness I have in speaking. I'm not trying to get on anybody's nerves or be a wisecrack, but there are some things that can't be explained in the sort of time I've been in recently. I've had moments. I've had funny moments. I have bad moments. But never have I ever lashed out at someone without a good reason. Now, I can say, for example, there's going to be times where somebody actually confronts you about something that you did personally. You don't think you remember you did. Guaranteed, it have to be through memory, but depending on how sharp your brain is, you'd have to be quick about remembering because people don't like how some take the time into, whoops, remembering something important, such as a report someone made on you later that day. It's kind of saddening, actually. Some people don't have better things to do with their lives. And this is what I mean by trolling. People try to get you into trouble for no odd reason whatsoever. And it occurs to me that people do this because they want attention. And they don't get the kind of attention that they want unless they do something stupid as that. And I'm not one to nitpick or brag or argue over sorts, because I've had my fair share of drama. People claim me to be something I wasn't, and I've bitten some heads off about it. I'm not proud for what I said, but I'm glad I got it off my chest. I spoke my mind, said my opinion. I'm okay. And some people, you know, went off the edge and tried to say that I was drinking in the middle of class. Drinking what? This person said I had a bottle of alcohol in one hand. Yet, it's a funny topic. If I had a bottle in one hand and school had cameras all over, I think I would have been kicked out right then and there. It's kind of funny if you think about it. Because, like I said, people tend to overthrow things a tad bit towards drama, overstating their lines and overthinking things just to make it worse for you in the end. But whatever works in your favor, because in the end, it would be you who's getting the most friends because the person that's putting hate on you is giving you a good cover story, what you did in school without getting suspended. Something I never thought about. Something I seriously, seriously hated. In fact, everyone in my time being sarcastic with me. And for some reason, I thought sarcasm as a flawed way of being cryptic with me. Don't ask me why, it's just happened. So happened that. Um, but I ended up sorting things out in the end. I've worked out the kinks to my own story. I've told people repeatedly how I was as a person and why no one should receive any special treatment unless they were someone with like special cases. I don't want to be offensive about this. That's why I'm trying to word this properly. Um, Down syndrome is one of them. Um, how my brain works would be classified as one of those things because my brain malfunctions on certain aspects of memory, and when it does, it tends to black out. And I forget a ton of it. That's why I try not to focus so much because it starts to hurt after a while. And that comes from the abuse received. It's three. And I never understood why punishment was a thing back then. Today's society, that's classified as child abuse. And I don't fraternize with that very well, so I, I correct any possible outcome I can whenever it comes around to my attention. So, that being said, if you're one of those people who abuses a mark, certain someone in your life, just hope and pray you're not around me when it happens, because there are ways that I would settle this so-called problem, and you're not gonna like it. Um, No, I'm not going to be abusive. No, I'm not going to be offensive. But I can wrestle, and I know how to uh, pin someone down from behind. Call 911. And I'll explain the matter at hand, which, in good grace, I am good company. I'm a nice person if you got to know me. But whenever it comes to certain cases, such as child abuse, I am dead set on turned against you. Um, but yeah, I would like to have friends on a high note. I would like to have friends with good graces, like helping each other out and such. Friends used to call me to have a shoulder to cry on sometimes because we suffered a loss in our group, and that group no longer exists because a thread ended up missing and got thrown away. And it's like that thread only existed because a certain person was alive. And the aspect of me hanging around was because that certain thread uh, was uh, putting up with me more than anybody else because I made him or her funny. In fact, he had a better life when he was alive. Let's put it that way. And now the friends that I used to hang out with don't hang out more because so much friction ended up happening and it caused a lot of fallout. So pretty much to myself anymore. Why you see me at home playing games, doing artwork as much as possibly can. And I do such things to stay out of trouble because in most cases I walk out my door, I end up getting into trouble. Now, that's one of the things I prevent from ever happening. But things considered, out of everything we've just discussed, I think I may have finished this picture. What do you guys think? Naruto. There you go. So, tomorrow, when everything's all settled down, such with my computer, I'm going to play some more DMO. I will be back before I turn him in, I promise. Till then, I'm going to ease away, for one, and resort my desk, and come back tomorrow. Going to bed. So, Mr. King Willex with art class that we today. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.